and welcome back to another episode of the Gap Downbacker podcast. Today, we have back for a second round my friend Alan Rudolph, the offensive line coach at the best university in the state of Ohio, Ohio University. Coach, how you doing?
We're doing great, man. How you doing? Hey, just to let you know, drove by the river today, and the cherry blossoms are starting to come out. So you need to go ahead and make a trip down. I know this will probably air a little bit away from now, so hey, people won't know what I'm talking about then. But anytime you get a chance to be in Athens, Ohio, around late March, early April, and ride by the Hocking River and see the cherry trees blooming, you take that opportunity.
I tell everybody that is like, especially like, because I mean, I work with a lot of juniors and seniors. I tell them all the time, the best time, if you're going to go visit, because we have a lot of kids that are interested in Ohio University. I think we have a good portion of our seniors actually going this year. I was like, the best time to go is spring, right around the blossoms, and then the fall when the leaves are changing colors. It's the most beautiful campus. And I know Coach Solich has talked about it. When you get if you can get kids down there for a visit, they're not going to want to leave. That's the old adage, and I think it's 100% correct. It's the most beautiful campus. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I mean.
So come on down, brother. Take a day off and come on down and hang out with us.
I'll gladly come down. Like, we'll talk about that afterwards. Like, and figure that out. Like, so. But. I mean, before we even get started, because we're going to talk O-line drills today, me and you had a very interesting conversation before. Actually, we had a lot of conversations before we even turned this on.
Yes.
I mean, we hit everything from the CFL, the XFL, to the MAC in general and everything. But I thought that one of our interesting points, and I wanted to hit back up on it, was me and you were talking about playbooks real quick. And it's the interesting dynamic of coaches that is it ever really done? Because like I was talking, it's like it technically is done for the year, but are you ever happy with it? Like
no, and then it never fails. I can proofread that sucker as many times as you can possibly imagine, and then I've got it out during fall camp, and we're installing. And we're going through it. I'm reading it. Okay, turn to page 49. Today we're going to look at the wham or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd be dead-gum if I don't find a spelling error and then I can't get my eyes off of that.
Yeah.
And then I got to circle it. I keep a red pen with me. That way I can circle it in my playbook to make sure that I go back and remember to make the change. But it's never done, and you're never happy with it once it is done. You're like, I could have made this look better. I could have made that
exactly.
look better.
Like, I still got a couple parts to add, and I'm just like, oh, how can I fix this? Like I'm trying to finish this stuff, but I'm like, how can I improve this? So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, and then
there's guys that you hear all the time that they don't do a playbook, or this guy doesn't actually have anything on paper that's printed out that he gives. Heck, that's probably the best I did. The best way to go.
I can spend out like we're gonna get done. I'm gonna let this download, and we'll spend some time with my family. And then about 10:30 o'clock tonight, I'm gonna start tinkering with some stuff I need to put in there. And then I'll wake up early tomorrow morning and start taking it since we're on spring break, and just go with it. And it's whatever. The other thing I want to ask you before we get started is, and I kind of already asked you this behind the scenes, but still I'd like to get it out there, is how's spring ball go for you guys? Like, everything go well, everything smoothly?
Yeah, it really did. And I've had some years where you didn't feel great about spring ball. One of the things I love this year is, Coach Collins and the defensive guys, it was a battle every day. And you go out there and the defense would win this, and we would, you feel like maybe the offense got a little bit better of this drill or of this day. But I thought it was really good back and forth throughout the whole spring, which, makes me very, very hopeful, that we're going to be, hopefully pretty good on defense and pretty good on offense. And So we did not have any major injuries, which is always a concern. We went a little bit earlier this year for a couple of reasons. One of them, thinking, if there was any type of COVID pause or anything like that, that we would give ourselves more days and more opportunities to get as many practices in as we could. So we started a little bit earlier, but then also that way, if we had any injuries or anything, we could get those fully rehab before the season. But knock on wood, we stayed really pretty healthy this spring. So all in all, I'd say it was a great spring, very, very competitive. Saw some guys step up that maybe we didn't know whether it was their time to or not. We were hoping, and I think they stepped up. And then the guys that we knew that could play and help us win football games, I think they continued to develop and grow. But I think we improved our depth greatly over the whole balance of the team.
Good. That's fantastic, Coach. It's always good to hear, and that's always good to hear when spring goes well and no issues given current circumstances.
I've been a part of some that didn't go so well.
Yeah.
So I was happy that everybody always wins signing day. I've never heard a coach not happy with signing day, but I've had a bunch of springs that I was not pleased or happy with, and I my happiness isn't that we went out and offensively just did really well or vice versa. I think it was great competition, and you saw both sides stepping up and making plays and rising to the level of competition. Well, yesterday we got the better of this drill, so then you see the defense raise their intensity level and make a play here or get the better of the drill there. And I just think for an overall team, that's really what you want to see.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Coach. So I mean, this one's gonna be a little different than others. I mean, coaches just kind of share a screen here in a minute, and just we're gonna talk through some O-line drills. I thought it'd be, especially when this is coming out, would be great for coaches as they enter summer camps, especially in the state of Ohio, and entering fall. If there's any kind of little coaching points or drills, and then again, if you want to see more detailed stuff or some other stuff, and coach is going to smile and hate that I'm plugging in stuff here for a second.
Yeah.
But again, he's got a bunch of coach tube stuff below. And I believe you recently added wide zone to that too, right? Wide zone and drill. Yeah.
I had a ton of coaches just reach out to me and ask me for it, and so had some time before we went into spring ball and had most of it put together just for presentations for our old linemen. And so put that together. So that's out there too, but I don't want to talk about it.
All right, Coach. All right, let's get started with some drills. I do already like the colors that I'm seeing, green and white. Yes. Perfect.
Yes. So. You like the green, huh?
Oh, forest green is probably my second favorite color, Coach. So
behind?
Orange. I grew up loving orange, so.
Okay.
I mean, that. But once I became a Bobcat, the darker shades of green obviously
love it.
Took it over.
Love it. So we do this, and this is kind of crazy, but we're going to work some type of strike every day. And I do this. We come out. This is one of the first things we do. And anybody that knows offensive linemen. We finish a meeting. I'm gonna blush because of my great fortune, but Coach Albin and Coach Solich believe in having big bodies on our football team because I think that helps you practice physically. So I have a rich. I've got a large O-line group, and so I've got 20 or 21 guys right now. We'll go into the fall with somewhere around 24, which I know this year's a little bit crazy year, but that number normally stays right around 20 to 21. And anyway, to make a long story short, it's hard to herd 21 guys and get them out exactly at the same time. One of them may have to go get a special wrist tape or an ankle tape or this, that, or the other. So as they filter out of the locker room onto the practice field, we always start with this, and I usually am standing right by the poles. And as they come out by the goalpost, we always do either one set or two sets of 10 of what we call pole strikes. And a couple things we're focused on here, of course, the strike. But before we get to the strike, one of the things that I want you to see, and was talking with a guy today, pad level to me, yes, we want to have great pad level. We want our eyes under the chin of the defender, but that isn't always attainable depending on who and what the defender is. So I want our bodies in power producing position as we go. And a couple of things that I look for, we've all heard the old Z in the knee, but my main thing is I want to see their knee slightly out in front of their toe, so that we've got a good angle, an angle in the ankle, a good angle in the knee, and a good angle in the hip joint. People always talk about knee benders, not waist benders, and I agree with that. But to me, the difference in a knee bender and a waist bender, we're bending at our waist right here as well. The difference is our knee is slightly out in front of the toe. When that knee starts getting behind the toe, now our legs start straightening and we're lifting, and we're still big at the waist, but now our hips are much higher.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to look for, and I'll show it to you from the back end real quick, is we want our knees slightly inside of our ankle. My external it takes it a second to catch up once I've paused for a second. But we want our knees slightly inside of our ankles so that our power is there. And I call that positive shin angles. We want our shins slightly, and that way the weight is on the inside halves of our feet. It's not out over the middle of the foot or the outside part of the foot. Then when we talk about a strike, you can see here there is no air. I do not want to see any air from the body frame to his elbows. If I see any air in there, I am not pleased whatsoever. We always talk about protecting our chest with our hands. Sometimes we do a good job of that. Sometimes we don't. But I definitely want to not see any air in there ever. If I see any air in there, our elbows are getting out too wide and I'm losing power. The other thing you'll see is we have a small wind up or cocking our elbows back slightly. Okay. That is a very slight thing that we do. See the elbows come back ever so slightly right there. We want to maintain that 90-degree bend in the elbow, but I want the elbows to cock back slightly and then go forward. I think that times everything up on my hips. And then going back to power, I think it's all on placing the body in position to unleash power on a defender.
Okay. So you want more in their arms, more of a trigger release than a full wind up, essentially.
No doubt.
Okay.
No full wind up whatsoever. Okay. Right. The thing that has been taught offensive line play is actually no wind up whatsoever and going right now with the hands to the defender. A lot of people teach, hey, the guy with the inside quickest hands win. But my thing is fundamentally, if my hands start going out in front of my body too early, then I don't put all of my power coiled up. I don't keep it coiled up on my hips. And I want to keep everything coiled up on my hips until I am ready to deliver the strike forward. Now, a couple things. Of course, when we strike, look at the thumb position. We want the thumbs up. And again, we're working on a goalpost. So you can imagine inside of this padding is a very small post, which I like because we are having to get our thumbs together to punch. Our hands are not out wide like they would be normally on a hand shield or something of that nature. And then our elbows, our thumbs are up, our elbows are under our arm, just a different way to say it. Our elbows are under our arm. And then the other thing that when we work this, I want to create a straight line on a launch angle through the defender so that I am getting full power through the defender on that launch angle that I'm on. A lot of times, and we call that aircraft carrier hips. I want them to come out of their hips like an airplane, like a fighter jet coming off of an aircraft carrier. And you know how it looks like the butt end of the plane dips down under slightly as it is leaving the flight deck on an aircraft carrier. We do not want helicopter hips, which I tell them, hey, those are hips that are going straight up. Yeah. So we want a broad jump through a defender. We don't want to power clean through a defender. So this is one of the ways that we work it. And then from the back end of him, you'll be able to see the hips really. I want to see his shorts suck up in his butt crack right there. You know, he is being so violent with his hip delivery, and we want a pry bar effect through contact with our hips. Okay. So that's kind of, you know, and I'm gonna show you a clip of this guy actually playing left guard for us in the Potato Bowl in 2019 after the 19 season. He is the left guard here. Now, a lot of our guys, some of our guys, you would say, hey, we can play with better pad level. And I always agree with that. But we don't really sit and talk very much about pad level as long as our body is in power producing position at contact. Yeah. You know, I just say, hey, this nose right here, okay? Our center is basically face mask to face mask with this nose. If we try to get eyes under his chin, we are going to be so low that we can't function with power. Yeah. Now we're going to actually lose power to get pad level under the defender. So as long as we're creating power producing position at contact, to me, that is more about where our weight is on our hips and the ground and the force that we're creating through the ground through contact than it is about necessarily pad level. I think you can have good pad level and be in terrible position to create power. Okay. So just looking at the left guard here, I should see what should look like that pole strike with his hands, his elbows are tight and under, his thumbs are up, and we are creating a pry bar strike through the defender that is going outward, not straight up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
This is a step drill, and I'm going to kind of run through this really quick, but we do this every day. I believe in trying to find drills. This is still pre-practice, so we've just done our pole strikes. I make our guys go through high-lows, hurdles to stretch their hips every day, to work their hip mobility and hip flexibility. And then as soon as they're done with the high-lows, by that time, everybody's kind of out on the field. And then we go to a step drill where we work all of our zone footwork, our inside zone footwork versus, so everybody that you see their butt right now is either a right side lineman or a center. Everybody that's facing us is a left side lineman or a center. So everybody is live right here. All 20 guys are working at one time, and the bag in between them is really their landmark. So if, just for instance, this young man right here is a right guard. He is working over and up footwork, okay? And that bag, the outside part of that bag is the outside shoe of the defender for him. Okay. So if we were going left, now that is a 3 technique for him. So now I'm going to load, and then my second step is going to deliver.
Okay. Now, do you run through like all your different various footworks for plays during this, or is it like a handful based off what you got for the day?
It's a handful based off, but it's to inside zone, and then inside zone versus all movement. We see so much movement. I'll show you here in just a second. So here's the load deliver. Now this same guy is covered, but he is covered by a backside defender. So he's going to load, and now he's going to deliver through the crotch of the defender. So the left foot should be down in the middle of the bag, like that is the crotch of the defender. And then I should see their eyes snapping front side, looking for movement. So we drill all of our inside zone footwork and then all of our movements. Now here is movement. So I've told them now this defender, so I'm thinking this is my 3 technique. And the minute he moves to his left to take his footwork, I treat that as live movement. So now we're working our hip flipper and snapping our eyes front side versus movement. So we get all of our footwork then versus all of our movements. Here is a load right, deliver left. And I'm just kind of running through this because everybody has their own footwork, but I think this is a pretty neat way of getting everybody working this footwork, working their pad level, working their eyes, and then working the movement phases. So now we're running zone left. So the right side linemen are taking backside footwork. That lateral cutoff footwork, lateral bucket footwork, or a lateral scooch if I'm a backside tackle. Now the left side are the far side guys. They are the front side guys. So they're going to take front side inside zone footwork. Now we are load left, deliver left. We're running belly left. So we're load left, deliver left. And now you can see it versus movement. Now I'm load right, deliver right, and now we've got movement front side. So you can see them all working lateral helmet redirection to movement. So that right there is the drill, and you can see now I'm showing you movement to the left. So that is pre-practice then, and I'll show you the other pre-practice drill that we do. To see those cones sitting right outside, we do a pass set drill during center quarterback. So right after this pre-practice period right here, we would do center quarterback exchange. And then I take all of the tackles and the leftover guards, and we work our 3 pass sets on these cones during pre-practice right there. I'll show you that drill here in just a minute, but that consists of our pre-practice. Questions?
No, that's perfect, Coach.
Okay. So then we start off every day in the chute.
Okay.
And we don't do our whole chute routine every day, but I have a chute routine that if we're in the chutes 3 days a week, I have 8 or 9 drills that we do in the chutes, and I try to get 2 or 3 of those done each day. Now during fall camp, we may get 4 or 5 done because I'll have more individual time. But once I get into the season, we're going to touch on 2 or 3 of the chute drills every day so that we don't lose that edge about us. Now, this one right here is the first one that we do, and we call it run the boards. Again, going back to what we just talked about, I want the guys thinking they are running off the football on every snap. I think that is very, very important. In the past, I've gotten, we were worried about so much of this and so much of that and so much of this that we were standing on the line of scrimmage and looking for everything. But what I've learned is you got to teach them to run off the ball, and they look as they run.
Okay.
And this is how we start. Now, the reason I show you this clip is this is a right tackle, and we are running zone right. So he is right down the middle of the board, and his footwork is going to be different depending on the alignment of the gap defender, whether it's a B-gap defender, and the alignment of the defensive end, okay? Yeah. This is a left guard on zone right, so he is going to take lateral cutoff footwork and lateral head with lateral cutoff footwork. This is actually a right guard, so his foot is actually going to go 4 to 6 inches up the field. he's going to power step at the outside chute. So each one of these guys are going to take actually different footwork based on what position they play. And if I had a left tackle in here, you would see him taking scooch footwork.
Now, for setup for this drill, is all that discussed in the meeting room, or is that day one you do this drill? Is that when that's taught? How do you teach your kids? Okay, this is what you got to do for this drill.
Okay, awesome. During fall camp, we have basically a drill meeting.
Okay.
And I go through and I line out exactly what drills we're doing, how we're doing them, and then in what order the guys line up. So for that step drill we were just looking at, they know that facing the press box, every day that we do it, the right side guys line up facing the press box and the left side guys line up facing away from the press box or facing the visitor side. Or if we're in the indoor, they know which way we're facing based off the indoor. And they know what pairs they're in, because I want certain guys paired up with certain guys, because I don't want two seniors paired up with each other that exactly know what they're doing. I want a senior that knows what he's doing paired up with a freshman that may be trying to figure it out. That way he can help coach him. As we got 20 guys working, there's no actual way for me to see all 20 of those guys.
Now, do those pairs at all change throughout the season?
Yeah, injuries create change. You know what I'm saying? But then we just try to, and I always tell my centers, their job is to make it all work.
Okay.
I put them off, but then the centers are the guys that can kind of flip-flop both sides. They can be either a right side guy or a left side guy. So, if we lose a left side guy, I may flip a center over. But I do try to keep those pairs the same anytime we do a pairs drill. And hey, the guys basically we have chute alignments, so they know where they're going in the chutes. We have pair alignment, so anytime we pair off, they know who their pairs are, and they know which way their pairs are facing.
Okay.
Then we have lines, and if I ever tell them lines, whichever way we're facing, the right side linemen are going to be on a line. Just say if I said, hey, we're going lines on the 40, then the right side guys are going to be right down this line on the 40. The left side guys are going to be on this line on the 45, and they're always facing the middle of the field. And then the centers either would go to the 35 or would go to the 50, depending on where we are. They get furthest away from where the rest of the team is working, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Okay, thanks, Coach.
And then that is always done in depth chart order down that line, tackles to guards.
Okay.
So at the front of the 40 right here, this would be right tackles. At the front of the 40 would be our starting right tackle.
Okay.
Then, 2 to 3 yards behind him is the number 2 right tackle, so on and so forth, all the way down to our right guards. And then the back guy would be the last guy depth chart wise in the right guard position.
Yeah.
But they know exactly where they're going, so we don't have. Then we have things that I call them pods. And anytime I tell them pods, we are getting together in fours. And we're going to work a drill in fours. Now, sometimes I only use 3 guys in that drill, but they're always going to go the same group of 4. And then based on what drill we're doing, they know how we line up. And anytime we go on pods, the first 2 guys always line up on the sideline.
Yeah.
The next 2 guys line up out on the field, and then I direct them from there. On the sideline is facing out, on the field is facing in, and then I direct them from there. So if I say pods, you're going to see a pod of 4 on a 5-yard line, another pod of 4 on a 5, another pod of 4 on a 5 down the sideline.
Okay.
That way, so, we got chutes, we got pairs, we've got lines, and we've got pods. And that pretty much gets us organized into all drills. So that's kind of, does that answer you?
Yep, perfectly, Coach.
So right here, hey, we're focused on running off the board, running off the ball, and my externals got to catch up a little bit. But the big thing I want us to focus on is the proper footwork based on position. Each guy's going to be a little bit different. And then getting the running off the football. So you can see 53, he's popping his foot, his inside foot. That's what he's taught to do. But now I want to see an acceleration. I want to see an acceleration on each one of them. And I want to see, I'm forcing them to go out of their, trying to force them out of their comfort level to go faster than they really want to go. And then I am crazy with them about getting the second step in the ground. How quickly can I get the second step in the ground, even though I'm forcing you and I'm pushing you fast? Now, one of the things I'm doing right here over here is I am trying to watch their eyes. And if I'm seeing eyes down in the chute, then that means we're getting head down, we're getting legs straight, and I don't have knee out in front of the toe. So that's running off the board. Here we are doing it again. Same drill now. I've got a right tackle that's taking different footwork right here. I've told him it's a different play. Here's a center, and now here's a left tackle scooching on the backside, which is one of the other footworks that we use on the inside zone. But I like that our center gets his second step in the ground, but I think he is looking down at the ground a little bit, and we're a little bit straight leg right there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the right tackle really trying to force his second step in the ground without covering too much ground with his second step. I think all of our feet are pretty tight to the ground right here. I just don't like that our center is, his hips have lifted up and he's looking down. We're a little bit straight leg right there. And just talking about running off the ball, Coach, if you look at the right tackle, okay, here's my point. I believe you can do everything you're supposed to do and run off the football. If you look at the right tackle, he is running off the football to drive block that 3 technique, and he gets movement, and look what his eyes do. He naturally snaps his eyes front side because that's a drill we work twice a week. But he is doing it running off the football. We're not sitting at the line of scrimmage trying to wait and see what the defense is doing. And he's doing a great job of lateral helmet redirecting. That was that drill we saw on the step drill.
Yeah.
When we're down there on the agile bags paired off with each other. He got movement, he snaps his eyes, and helmet redirects to the right. But we are running off the football. All those guys, to me, are running off the football. Look at the backside guard. He is, lateral bucket, lateral head on the cutoff, and he is running off the ball trying to create distortion. That backside tackle, to me, he is scooching and running off the football. And we actually block 2. He blocks the backer and the safety right there. So just, hey, in your drill work, force those guys to run off the football. Don't allow them to execute the drill without running off the football, if that makes sense.
No, it does, yeah.
So then we're staying in the chutes, and now this is just a running drive block, okay? So now we're starting to tie the running off the ball with the pole strike that we worked earlier. So we're tying all that together, okay? And then we finish everything, not all drills. I'll tell you which ones we do and which ones we don't. But the whistle is blown here, and now we should see a last shove, okay, by these guys when the whistle is blown. You should see them all extend and shove one last time when the whistle's blown. That's just last shove mentality, all drills that we do. Here's a fit drive drill. I'm just kind of going through a little bit of our shoot progression so you can see all of it. Here's a fit drive where now we're focused on aircraft carrier hips. Okay, I don't like our elbows right here. Our elbows are out. I want those elbows up under us where there's no air between the elbow and the framework of our body. Same thing with the right side guy. What I do, watch all three of them though. They are not stepping back to go forward. Their hips are driving forward right now. Aircraft carrier, we want to pry on the launch angle through the defender, okay, with our weight on our hips so that we can explode out of our hips. And then, Coach, the big thing to me, I never talk about moving our feet.
Okay.
Never talk about moving our feet. I want us to drive and strain our knees forward.
All right.
I don't want our feet to go forward. Two things. One, I tell you to move your feet. You can sit there in place with nobody working against you. So I could just sit on the wall and just move my feet in place and never do anything. And then the other thing is, if I stress the feet moving, then the feet are going to start to get out in front of the knee. I want the knee to stay out in front of the toe so that I am continuing to keep that power and I'm continuing to keep my knees bent and my hips down as I extend and work with extension through the defender, if that makes sense.
It does.
And again, you can see we should finish with a last shove. The whistle is blown, and now we're going to finish. We're going to try to be the prick. We're going to try to be the bully, and finish through the echo of the whistle on each play. Now, this is a drill we do not finish. Now, this is one of my favorite drills. I'm going to show you a back view of it and a front view. But I love this picture right here. Watch this guy just jump out of his hips. You can see his hips going forward, and he is jumping out of his hips, and then his knees are starting to catch up. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Man, it's like he's broad jumping through them. Now, this is 600 pounds. I love it because a guy has to come out of his hips, has to explode out of his hips, has to fly bar, aircraft carrier. If he helicopters right now, that is not going to move. The first guy right here is just really a really heavy dummy. He's a 300-pound dummy. He is not actually straining to keep it from moving. The guy in the back locks his hands into the shoulder pad of the dummy, and he applies, and I tell them I want them to apply moderate to strong resistance as needed, but I'm not interested in a stalemate right here.
Yeah.
I want the guys to feel themselves coming out of their hips, working through the initial strain of contact. You know, we always see that stalemate that happens, working through that stalemate, letting their hips get them through that stalemate, and now allowing their knees to strain forward, okay, to catch up to their hips, if that makes sense. And if they don't do this, and if they don't try to block with extension, they will not move this as they need to. But you can see all of them coming out of their hips and driving their knees forward, maintaining a wide base, and we want to keep full foot in the ground. I think this is a good job right here. If they get up on their toes with this much weight, they will slip. So it teaches several great fundamental things, and here's a back view of it. Wanting them to strain, and a lot of young kids, the first thing they will do, Coach, is actually step back.
Yeah.
Step back to go forward, because they don't understand how to use their hips. So they're trying to avoid or short circuit that part of having to do this. Here, I want to make sure that their feet do not go back, that their hips go forward, and then their knees go forward, if that makes sense.
It does.
Now, we do not finish this drill because we have 9 bodies all piled up in an 8-yard space right there. So you can actually see a couple of the knuckleheads are finishing, but I tell them do not finish this drill because I don't want bodies falling around on each other with everybody in that tight. So we call that a domination drill, and that's something. This drill right here is a run drill that we do at least twice a week. This is one that I think separates us. It goes back to our pair drill, okay, and then it our step drill that we pair off, and now we are working drive block versus movement. So we're going to hip flipper and snap our eyes front side, and now we're angle stepping on the whistle to the linebacker right there. So this is just a drive block versus movement and how we operate out of it. Then we go linebacker drill in the chute. So now we're working linebackers, and we teach 2 different things on linebackers. If I'm getting a downhill backer that is on a downhill angle front side, then our landmark is our backside ear hole to his front tit and our backside arm in his hip. We always want to block joints. So when we land, we try to land the backside hand in his hip. 2 things, that's a place to break. Anytime I can get my hand in that hip, I'll get movement. The second thing is if my hand misses high, a lot of officials will see that as holding. So if we go low with the hand on the hip, 2 things. I think we'll create movement and lateral distortion with that, as well as we won't get holding calls like we would if our arm went up over on his back right there. So we're running inside zone left, and we are getting a downhill backer on an angle. If we go to back number right there, he's just going to rip through us and basically, in effect, get penetration. Okay. So now the backer's going to square the board rather than be on an angle, which now tells us to use drive block fundamentals on the backer, and we are landmarking the sternum of the defender. So you can see like the far right guy. Now we should get our elbows in tight, and we are striking with our hips, and you should see aircraft carrier hips through contact with the backer. And on this drill, we do not finish linebackers as well either, because they may be in and up all over each other. I can't control that sometimes, so I control it by just saying that this is a non-finished drill. But you can see the 2 techniques that we work on linebackers. Now, so we're getting into movement. So now this is the O lineman. He is reading the knee of this defender. I'm getting movement away from me. So now we're going to go opposite foot, opposite shoulder, back into movement, and we're going to stake it off right there so that the backside lineman can cut that off. Okay. So we're getting movement away, and now I'm setting the edge of the defense so that my backside lineman can cut it off, and then I'm going to angle step and now climb to the linebacker.
Now, would you say this was probably one of your more, with how much you guys run zone schemes, one of your more important drills with how much movement you guys see?
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%. And during the season, we do this drill once a week.
All right.
So we're going to get some type of movement phase into drill work. Now, I've got this clip because this is one of my young guys, and watch how his head goes up the field rather than lateral back into contact, and we're going to get split right there.
Yeah.
Totally different fit than this guy. Watch how he pretty much laterally bangs back. This kid's head goes forward right here, and now he's actually going to miss that. So that's a big fundamental coaching of it. Now, here's a high hip carry drill. So we don't actually ever fit 2 half men, but what we're working is, so we're in pods right here. The last drill we were in was pods.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anytime I say pods, bam, they go on a 5-yard line. We're paired up, facing out. We got 2 on the defensive side facing in. That way, if I say pods, they go right there and they go to it. We can jump right in the drill. But we're doing a high hip carry drill. And what we're working here is 2 things. We're working the escape of the double team, and then we're working the overtake of the double team. If I am the half man and the backer that I am working to escape to works back the opposite direction, then I am working the helmet redirection to force the whole man or the 3/4 man out. Okay. Yeah. So we teach all of our combos. I've got a half man fitter, and we've either got a whole man or a 3/4 fitter, depending on the alignment of the backer that we're working to. So right here, we're both half men, because we end up in such a ton of half man combos. So we drew this drill. I love this drill. Does a couple things. It makes them learn to work with tight footwork, so they're not taking big air where they're stepping on top of each other. We're keeping our feet really tight to the ground. It makes them try to focus on keeping their hips square to the line of scrimmage, even though I've got a high hip or a covered hip and I've got a brace foot on my back hip. So we want to maintain hips square to the line of scrimmage. We don't want to get our hips turned on this type of an angle while we're in contact. Okay. And then we work the escape phase, and let's watch this escape, and then I'm going to show you something with this escape here in just a minute. Okay. But the escape, we want to angle step, and I want to jack. I tell my guys, I want to jack that knee open so that I don't step underneath myself. You can see he's jacking that knee open, and now we're changing our hip angle without stepping under myself. A lot of guys, when they come out of combos, they step underneath themselves to change their hip angles. They step under themselves, then they cross over, and now I've got no base and I've lost any potential to produce power because my feet are together. Now, we also work drills where we lose our base and we have to regain our platform. We go from narrow platforms to wide platforms because I believe it happens, but we want to try to prevent that, as much as we can. Now, watch the backside lineman. He is high hip, and then when he sees backer go, he now helmet redirects and forces the front side lineman out. So the next time we go, this backer may fit here. He has to be the escape guy. He has to helmet redirect to overtake or go from one-handed to two-handed, however you teach that. There's so many ways to teach it. Now, this guy right here, watch the difference in his knee when he goes to escape. He is not opening that knee. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That hip just got high. This hip just got behind. We are going to get split, or he is going to have to do something funky with his lower body to block that backer. And now we are not in good position. Now, he does a pretty athletic thing right here. See him flip his hips and create a wide platform, but that's not the efficiency that we want to work with in escaping a combo, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, kind of like you point out, just different verbiage. He just overreached, which caused him to.
Yes.
I mean, at that point,
yes.
I mean, it's kind of like, because like I said, I work with quarterbacks. That's the same thing when you're doing a draw. You overreach, you lose your base. It's just.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now here's a little bit of application of basically what we were just talking about. Okay. So here's the half man. Here's the whole man. Okay. And just so you can see it, there's the fit of it. So we're load deliver here. We call that footwork load. That footwork's delivering the crotch, just like we worked on the bags earlier. This guy is scooching and midlining down the midline. So that is to a plus combo where the backer is front side. That's the fit. That's what you just saw. We were working this half man. Now, here's why we were working it. So same drill, but now we're working to a front side backer but he didn't stay where he was supposed to. He went minus on us. So now you can see 76 helmet redirect to force 73 out. So this should have been whole man. This should have been half man. And now the half man is having to force. So one where he's escaping and then one where he's forcing the whole man out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's kind of an application of the drill. Okay. Now we're back to the stake off drill. And I got 55 again because this is a little bit later in spring and he got better at it. That's the same guy that was leaking his head earlier, but I think he does a great job and there's a lot of power. We say opposite foot, opposite shoulder to contact with movement. So I want to go opposite foot, opposite shoulder to contact, and then I'm going to angle step out to the second level. Now, if we get big movement and that movement's crossing our face, you're fixing to see us do a drill where we're going to rake big movement and now clean up the lineman behind me. So look at 69 right here. He's a center. We get big movement coming backside. He goes opposite foot, opposite shoulder. But now as I go to stake off, that guy's crossing my face. He's two gapping me because we're getting big movement blitz or whatever that's creating big movement. So now I'm going to rake that across my face because I need to clean up the backside lineman. So in this instant right here, there would be a right guard right here and a left guard. The center and the right guard would be comboing that guy to a backer. But on the snap, we get movement, and now this guard is cutting that guy off. But as he goes to cut him off, the center rakes him. Now this guard can climb to the second level, and he would work to who the center had ID'd. So you can see we do a stake off, and then there's the rake. You also can see the rake right here, a really good job of the rake by number 70. So that's kind of some of the drills. And then I have some combo drills. I don't know how interested. I mean, everybody does combo drills. One of the things, and I'm not going to go into them because everybody does them, but one of the things that I think is, I think it's important. I mean, we've got 8 guys working at one time right here.
Yeah.
Don't just do 4 guys working and then you got everybody standing back here. Well, I can't see all of it and I can't coach all of it. So what I do, that is true. What I do is I am right here and I am looking at this. But then I go back and I coach this off film.
Yeah.
Well, coach, I don't have enough meeting time to coach this off film. I disagree completely with anybody that tells me that. Because now the one thing that COVID has taught us that I can meet with my guys, not anytime, I can't, but I can video this and I can send that to them.
Well, and also, like, you can record you talking about it, or at worst, because we have Huddle High School, you can type in notes onto the screen and post it.
Exactly. Exactly. So I may not have enough actual meeting time, but I can find ways to get that to those guys and type notes, voice it over, do whatever to get, if I'm a high school coach and we don't have meetings, because I don't get out of the classroom to write at practice time, or whatever that scenario is, there's ways to get that video with instruction to your guys now. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe that was a lot tougher, but today we can all do that. Us as O-line coaches can find ways to get the film and to coach off film. Well, I don't have anybody to film it. Well, I've got 2 daughters. And if I didn't have somebody to film it, one of my daughters may be back there behind it for 20 minutes of the day while I was doing individual drills. She may be back there filming it.
Yeah.
You know, I believe where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
It is my point. So get as many guys working as you can, get it filmed, pick you something out. Like this day, I really was coaching that knee read for the centers. He is reading the knee. So that's what I was coaching, but I had the backside guard and another center working the backside combo versus a shade. Well, my full attention didn't necessarily need as much attention here as it did here technically.
Yeah.
So I focused my eyes there, and then I coached the other off film. And if there was anything that I needed to coach, we either covered it in a meeting or I found a way to get it to them.
Okay.
So just that's kind of my point. These are a bunch of different drills. You know, it gets more. You see us working movement in our combos right here. You know, again, these are two backside combos. This looks weird, but this is the left tackle and left guard. This is the right tackle and right guard. I've got them working away from me. So this side is working zone left. This side is working zone right. So I can stand right there together with them. Because what ends up happening is if you put your right side guys over here and they're going zone left, and you put your left side guys over here and they're going zone right, either you got to spread them out so far so they don't run into each other that you can't see them, or you get them so close they start running into each other as they go. So we go away from each other. I don't know, it just kind of makes sense to me. So here, again, another combo drill, and we can get into the details, but I mean, we could spend 3 hours talking about that double team right there.
Yeah.
I think that's the topic of today's conversation. You know what I'm saying? We could talk for at least a good hour and a half about those two tackles' footworks right there. Okay. But to me is efficiency in drills. And again, okay, we can get all this done by saying pods. Or right here, I just said, hey, give me left side lineman, give me left side lineman on the right side of the 35. Give me right side lineman on the left side of the 35. Give me a 3 technique and a backer, and let's go.
Yeah.
Same thing here, doing the same thing here. This is actually a thin call where we are ricocheting the combo to a backer that is heavily plus, and the backside tackle's overtaking, but just different things. Now, hey, we're working stake offs. So that drill that we work in pods, now I'm putting it in with our centers and guards. Our tackles are down versus an odd front. Our tackles are down working with the tight ends, working combos down with the tight ends. So this is the stake off drill with this guy right here. He's scooching, he gets movement, so we're banging back, working to our second level defender. So that's just application. And this was a light day right here, so we're low intensity right here. We're about 75% just working through our footwork and our eye fixes right there. Here's a pull drill that we do. I love this drill, and I'm gonna talk about it real quick because I put it out the other day on Twitter. I kind of stumbled up on this. This is a tackle on counter, GT. This is a guard on power. This is a left guard. I know that odd. He's going opposite direction. And this is a right tackle. So this tackle is running GT to the left. This guard is running power to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. We use skip pull technique. And again, we could get into that and talk hours on that. But one of the things we're doing here, the hip, the bar of the chute is the hip of the double team. The bar of the chute is the hip of the double team. I love pulling tight to this line right here because now I can stress to my guys, we need to pull tight and we need to get vertical because if we drift out wide, a backer's going to run underneath us. So I love the chute actually fits exactly where I've got a yard on each side of the chute for us to focus on the lineman staying uptight. You can see the guard got a little bit loose right there. Would love him, but that's why we do it. We get our depth. So also you'll see the next clip, I've got 2 guards. Now I put the guards foot to foot right in the middle. So we're both blocking power each direction right here. But now the guard gets a log read, so he's going to take an extra shuffle to cover the distance. You can see him actually take the extra shuffle to get. It was not a tight pull. We didn't get a kick out and a lead. We got a log, so we're going to have to wrap around the log, so we take the extra shuffle. But now I still want to hug the log tight, and I'm getting vertical because a lot of times that block is going to happen right there because that backer is going to be scraping tight right off of that hip right there. So just a pull drill that we do for our second level pull teaching that I can rep through, get a lot of guys reps really, really quick. While we're doing this, the centers actually are with the graduate assistant, and they are working our back block progression on gap schemes.
Okay.
And we could talk again. That could be a whole.
How much do you break up your stuff with? I mean, obviously, most O-line coaches in the country have a GA, just because you got 5 positions to worry about on the field. And sometimes more, depending on what you classify your tight end as in your at your school. How much do you split your stuff up with your GA, or split your stuff up with, so okay, centers now you're going to go work with quarterbacks on snap, blah, blah, or 7 on whatever?
Yeah, we split up. It depends on year. It depends on who the GA is. When I first got here, the graduate assistant that we had was he was new as well. I didn't know him. He didn't. We had never worked together. So until I get really comfortable that we are speaking the same language, using the same terminology, the same buzzwords, I'm going to do most of it. And then as I start to feel comfortable with him, then I'll start to take the tackles, let him have the centers and guards. Or I'll take the guards and tackles and let him take the centers and, hey, work the back block progression. And I'll go through it with him. He'll know exactly what we're looking for. I'll have it written out for him exactly what I want him to cover, and then have film of it for him to use and to cover. So early on, less.
Okay.
More and more I trust him. And then this year I had a guy that had been with me for 2 years. So, and especially with COVID, we split our offensive line a bunch. That way, if we had any contact tracing, it wouldn't be through drill work, or I wouldn't lose my entire O-line through contact tracing. So what we ended up doing a lot is I split, we had 2 separate pods actually, and I know I use that pod term for but we had pod 1 and pod 2. Pod 1 was the 1s and 3s. Pod 2 was the 2s and 4s, and we kept them separate during individual. That way there was no contact tracing that would go on. That so anyway, this year we did a ton of splitting because that was the only way I could do it for contact tracing. Plus, he was Coach Langenkamp was ready to handle that. So that does that answer you?
Yep.
And then I never go to center quarterback because I can always cheat 5 minutes to work with tackles, especially, which it's hard for me to find time. Pass pro with tackles. There's so much specialty in teaching pass protection with tackles that I usually use that center quarterback time for that. And then I'll either coach that off film, or Coach Alvin and Coach Izzy are always at center quarterback. And then the O-line GA is always at center quarterback. So they're able to work with, and I'll talk with them. Hey, I really want this center to focus on this. His release point is too high, or his arm angle is not right, or whatever. in the center quarterback. This is just a reach drill that we do, and we run wide zone, but we run option with Coach Solich. We're going to run some option, and it's zone. We run zone option. We run speed option. So we always work. I believe in teaching, base, reach, cutoff. So I mean, we always need it. That's a fundamental that we have to, and this is a great job. Big thing is keeping face mask, no ear hole, and we want to go vertical on the hip angle that we're on. So we work a reach drill. You can see now here he's reaching to the left. Here's the center, reaching to the left. Another thing that we do in the shoots, and my film just went crazy on me. Now we're seeing so much backside technique on option. So you can see my feet. I'm setting a linebacker angle for him, and we are working on that angle to the backer and ripping the backside technique. You can see the backside arm go wrist above ear to pull our back hip through the combo, and we're looking at our option angle right there, because we say on option, if we're working to a backer, as soon as the ball snap, that is just like a starter pistol at a track meet. As soon as we say hut, they're going to be sprinting to the sideline. So that, just working our angles on options and that rip, getting wrist above ear to pull the back hip through so my backside hip and backside shoulder don't turn. Here we are at pre-practice. Check my man out. He's dancing, having a good time. Geez. We got music playing. I'm having to scream because nobody can hear me. It drives me crazy, but we're dancing. So we work a jump set first. So we call it a JTP, jam trap punch, okay? Then we go a short set. Actually, I skipped the short set. This should be the short set here. There's the short set, and then the next one is going to be an angle set. So we work all three set spots that we use, and then we'll transition all of those. So this should be a jump transition, and we use our cone to work that. So now we're jump setting, and I got inside move on a jump set. Now we're working a short set, and now we get inside transition, and then we would do the same thing on an angle set. So that's our cone drills that we do pre-practice. I'm doing this while center quarterback's going on right now. Real quick, we do line sets, and here's that lines. I was telling you lines. So anytime I say lines, right side O lineman are here, left side O lineman are here, and then centers are going to work 2, 1, 5 are the next. And we work our ankle lead, then we work our Australian hips, then we work our individual 1 sets, 2 sets, and 3 sets on these lines. So I'm just kind of letting it run through that right here. Now we're working we're working an ankle lead and Australian hip. This is some Canadian film. You're going to see the end zone's a little bit longer. But this is the ankle lead with Australian hips. Now, I am live now. So for the right side lineman, they are post setting to either a 2-eye or a 4-eye. Okay. So we get to this quite a bit because of as much odd 4-eye as we see, and guards see it all the time where they're having a post set a 2-eye. So this is a 1 set for us. You can see all of us post setting it. And I'm kind of rolling through, and then we transition 1 to 3. You can see the twitchy athleticism by me right here. I'm worried that I'm going to break my guy's ankles right here. But so this is line sets, and we do this. This is a daily must for us. Teaching and working the lower body. I believe in building the pass set from the ground up. So you can see us doing it right here. And then now we're going to go 3 sets. So I'm setting to an outside defender, and now 3 to 1 post transition.
All right.
We're almost at the end, Coach.
You're fine, Coach. I'm enjoying this. I'm just watching and learning. You're good.
All right, so now this is a drill we call clean it, snap it, bite it. So anyway, when we are knocking hands down, we are cleaning their hands off of our body. Okay. So we 3 clean it's, and then when we punch, we want to snap the heels of our hands through the punch. Okay. So not up in our face. I'm just doing that because of the camera. But on a pendulum punch from right below our breast, and we never want extension with the elbow, but we want to snap the heel of our hand to the punch. So this drill, this guy is the defender. He should be at a jog pace, and he's giving the offensive lineman a hand. So the offensive lineman is working different cleaning tools. Then he'll clean it 3 times, and we're really big. We want to tighten those up and be small. So we'll clean it, then we'll snap it, and then we finish it with a bull rush to finish. So you can see we finish, snap it, bull, and now the pull. So we finish, so we work 3 or 4 different fundamentals at one time in that drill. Here it is, another set of guys doing it. So it'll be clean it. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead because I know I'm running late with time. Now, this is a foot urgency drill where we're getting redirections, and the drill here, this guy's the defender, and he has from this 5 to that goal line to work this guy laterally as fast as he possibly can. This guy has from the 10 to the 5, and this guy has from the 15 to the 10. And all we want to do is get 3 or 4 changes of direction where we're working the foot urgency in transition of the O-line. I don't know who I'm talking to right there. Somebody has made me mad.
Yeah. And the rest of your alignment are like, oh, this is not
They ain't no telling. I was not happy. Whatever that was, I don't know. But if I try to fast forward it, my film's going to skip. So I must have made a joke. All right, here we go. I love this drill right here. Watch the foot urgency, and the whole key is the defender really trying to work the offensive guy. Just working our foot urgency so that we're going feet before hands, not leaning with our head when we're doing this drill. Our feet have to lead us. Our ankle has to lead us, and the defense has to do a great job. Now, here we're working a bull, we're working a punch and a bull hop drill, and then convert to a stretch because we stop the bull and we're working a stretch, so we're ankle leading. Now here we are working, we're stabbing with the outside hand. You can see the left tackle stabbing, okay? Guy continues to rush. I call this a stretch drill. So he is rushing my outside shoulder. I now want to stretch that defender and widen the pocket as much as I possibly can. So just some pass pro drills that we do with med balls. We call this a core set. I love this drill. Great off-season drill, great summer drill. And you can see, really focus on holding the pass protection demeanor with our core. Not letting, when that guy, I want them banging that ball. And you can see this is an older guy right here. This is a younger guy right here. Watch the difference in the movement of the med ball and how it's really affecting. This young man's really kind of falling forward with his chest. He's not as strong with his core. And then we always finish it with a pull, like we got a bull and pull. This drill we call down the line. And every med ball is a square chest coming at me. Every hand shield is a is a high-low hand. And then, so we alternate our hands, so they're having to work different hand things as they go. And then we finish the drill with some type of different move at the last. Here we're working a snatch. So at the last one, he's getting low numbers coming right at him with low hands leaning right at him. And anytime we get that, we're going to hack and snatch any low, hard, heavy hands coming at me early. So we're working a snatch drill to finish this drill. And we just call it down the line. I don't want the guy hopping around the med ball like that. This is a twist drill. I love this drill right here because we are flattening the penetrator. Then we're kicking vertical to a looper coming over the top because we're going to usually be a hair late. So if I'm a tackle, I can use verticalness to buy my hip a little bit of time if I'm late on the twist. Now the last guy coming through is a blitz pickup. So the first guy is a penetrator. He's a penetrator. There's the looper on a twist. And then once I finish this, the third guy, we're blocking a blitzing backer to teach the fundamentals of a backer right there.
Okay.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the
So, coaches, one, check out the sponsors affiliates below. Two, give Coach a follow on Twitter. I'll be there below. Check out his coaching stuff. He's got stuff on drills, a bunch of stuff on inside zone, pass pro, wide zone. So make sure you check all that. Check all his Coach 2 stuff. Coaches, make sure you check out all that. Follow, like, subscribe, share the video, all the jazz. I'm going to go talk with Coach some more. So thank you. And that was another episode of the Gap Down Backer Podcast.